not watching Best for View TV.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy BestsPointOfViewTV today. I'm with Tay Diorr. And who do we have on the channel today?
My name is Alyssa Trahan.
Okay, how you doing today? First of all,
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
pretty good. We just want to thank you for doing the interview with us. First of all,
Yeah, thank you for wanting to interview me. I'm excited.
no problem. So, talk about you. Like, give us a little background about you.
So, I am a country singer, songwriter, and producer. I
Mhm.
grew up in East Rochester, New York, and I really dove into the music scene in Rochester and I played all around. I started recording my original music and then I moved to Nashville in 2016 and I've been in Nashville ever since. I still go back to the Rochester area somewhat frequently to play shows and visit family and stuff like that, but I do a lot of stuff myself. I write all my own music. I play over a dozen instruments. I got my degree in audio engineering in actually
Like,
Canandaigua, New York, and I produce all my own stuff. So yeah, I'm also a crazy cat lady.
that's fine. I did see that. I did see that. So, talk about how you first get into finding love for music. Like, when you knew like I want to pursue this as a career.
You know, music's always kind of been that thing for me. I always say that you don't choose music, music chooses you, which I
Right.
really feel like happened with me. Music runs in my family. Both sides of my family were pretty musical. My grandmother played organ in church when she was really young. I actually have her organ in my studio. My dad's side of the family, they had a family band and they play in church. And so I was kind of always surrounded by music. My dad would play guitar around the house when I was growing up. So it was kind of always there for me. I was always drawn to it. I was a dancer for a long time.
And you
I
just
was in
had
the
all the
music
entertainment
program.
around you.
What?
I said you just had everything entertaining around you, the music, the drums, all that. That's fire.
Yeah, music was just always around me. So I don't know. I guess the older I got, the more drawn to it I was. And I just kind of fell into it in a way. Like it's always just been in my blood and it's always been my thing. You know, I was always the music nerd in school. That was me. So
Right. Did you have to learn how to sing, or did it come naturally?
I was always a singer. I did take some vocal lessons and I've done some work with vocal coaches, but I kind of just started doing it myself,
Hmm.
I guess.
So that's definitely fire. So when you were growing up in school, right, were you are trying to be a singer, or was it like you didn't find out you want to become a singer to after high school?
So I always knew I wanted to be a singer songwriter. When
Mhm.
I was still in school, especially in elementary school and high school, I was kind of shy to share that part of me. I did a little bit, but it wasn't until after high school that I really dove into it full time. I mean, even when I was in high school, I would be recording my own music and I'd be playing shows, but I wouldn't really talk about it in school. It'd be kind of like my other life outside of school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of always did it. But after high school is when I really like started taking it seriously.
How'd you get over being shy though? 'Cause, you know, a lot of people they want to do something, but they usually they're nervous, they scared what people they think they worry about what people think. How'd you get over that?
Yeah, I honestly still worry about that sometimes. But I kind of just, I think my love for it ended up overcoming the shyness, I guess. And, you know, the first time I did it was the hardest when I played my original music for people. It was actually a little like, they did these little acoustic coffee houses, they called them at my high school. So it was the first time I ever played an original song for like my classmates.
Right.
And that was terrifying. I was like shaking. I was so nervous. But after I just kept doing it more and more, it got easier. And it was just kind of like, I just had a moment where I was like, you know what? I love doing this. It's who I am. Why am I hiding it from
Right.
people? Like, why am I being shy? It's who I am. Either they're gonna like it or they're not. So,
All right. One of the aspect that's like hard about music is writing music. How'd you go about to like find out what to talk about in your song and stuff like that?
so a lot of my stuff is based on personal experience,
Right.
but I also write a lot about things that I see happening. So if it's something my friends are going through, or I've written songs based off TV shows before, or books I've read, things I see happening in the world, I always get inspiration from something real, whether I'm actually going through it or it's
Right.
just something I noticed.
Now that's definitely fire. Cause I seen you did something with the Vampire Diaries. That was a big
I
thing I saw
did.
growing up. So talk about how you went about like writing about that. Like, what's your thought process? What do you need in the studio for you?
So that song was actually an accident that I wrote about Vampire Diaries. I had the idea and then I wrote it and I didn't realize it came from Vampire Diaries till I watched the show again later on. But
Mhm.
my songwriting process is different for every song. Typically, like the most common way is I'll have an idea in my head, like something I want to write about, or maybe a melody, or maybe I'll have like a full chorus that I want to build on. But it usually starts with like some little idea, whatever it is, and then I'll bring that into a writing session. We'll write it. Sometimes we write just with a guitar or a piano. Sometimes we write with a track like drums and bass and things like that. And then after the song is written, I pretty much always do a demo for it just so I have something I can like listen to and get the vibe of. And yeah, every song really has a life of its own. There's not like a template that
Right.
I follow, I guess. Like some songs take 10 minutes to write, some songs take years to write or never even get finished.
That's crazy. That was gonna be my next question. 'Cause I know you play the guitar, you play the flute, you play the piano. I was gonna ask you, how you know, like, all right, I might need a guitar for this, I might need a piano for this. I know you said some other instruments I never really heard about, so I can't really remember. But it was like a couple of instruments. Like, I like, what the heck was that? So how you
Yeah,
go
I play some different instruments. I play Irish flute and penny whistle, saxophone, dobro, stuff like that. Um, I would say my guitar is kind of my go-to when I'm writing songs. It's just what I'm most comfortable on, but I think it's a feel thing. Like a lot of times if I'm writing a really sad song, I kind of gravitate towards piano because it just sounds like a sad instrument to me. If I'm writing like a super super happy song, sometimes I go to my ukulele because it's just like a happy little instrument. And I'd also try to mess around. Like if I've been writing songs on the guitar for like a month straight, I'll be like, okay, I need to do something different here. Let's go on the piano. Let's grab my mandolin, do something different so it's not all the same, you know?
right.
But yeah, it's kind of just a feel thing.
No, that's definitely fire. That's definitely fire. So I know you got your in-house studio, right?
I do, yeah.
So what made you want to make that decision? Like, all right, I don't want to go to the studio. I'd rather do this in my house. Like a
So
lot of
I've done my own recording for a while. I started because I went to a recording studio and the producer just didn't get my vision,
people.
and I'm very driven, I'm very sassy, I'm very independent. So when I felt that he wasn't representing my music well enough, I was kind of watching him, and I was like 16 at the time. I was like, man, what he's doing does not look difficult. I feel like I could do this myself. So I asked my dad, I was like, hey, can I get a recording program and see if I can do it? And we got one, and I just kind of taught myself on YouTube how to do it.
You
And
will
then,
do it.
I just, yeah, I just kind of kept doing it. And then when I moved to Nashville, I would do my own demos. I had like a really small setup, just my computer, a microphone. That was pretty much it. And I would do super, super simple demos, just guitar, vocal, like super easy. And then the more I wrote with people, the more they were like, hey, we need like full demos, we need a full band sound. So I was like, well, I went to school for this. Like, I've produced records in the past. Why aren't I doing this myself? So I was like, you know what? I want a space where not only can I record stuff, but I can have people over to have writing sessions and to record their stuff. So I decided, all right, let's do like a full studio, and that's where I am right now. So I was like, you know what? Let's just make a whole room, and it's kind of like my office now.
Now, that's definitely fine. That may show everybody you didn't make an excuse. You didn't let nothing to stop you. So okay, one might not be seeing my vision, but I'm gonna find a way to do it, and I'm my vision to that. Now it works for you because now you can just wake up in the middle of the night, you get to record and go record wherever you have to. But then,
Exactly, yeah.
but I know you lived in Rochester at first, right? What made you move to What made you move to Nashville? Like, what was that transition like?
So when I was little, I would see like TV programs of my favorite singers talking about Nashville. Like I remember seeing a TV show about Taylor Swift talking about Nashville and like all these big people, and they were doing what I wanted to do. So I was like, huh, there must be something to this Nashville place.
Right,
So I asked my parents if for our summer vacation with the family, I was like, hey, can we go to Nashville? I think that'd be fun. And they were like,
right,
yeah, let's do it. So we went, and I think that was in like 2009, I want to say, and I just loved it so much. I did some open mics while I was in town. We just kind of went all around Nashville and really just got a good feel for it. And ever since then, I was like, I need to move here. Like, as soon as I stepped foot in Nashville, I just had this feeling of like, I need to be here. And after I'd say a couple years when I really dove more into my music, I asked my parents, I was like, hey, I want to go back to Nashville, but this time I don't want it to be vacation. Like, I want to take like business trips, I call them.
right.
So, for a couple years, my dad and I would drive down from New York to Nashville and stay for like a week. And I would just meet people and write with people. And so many people would like pull me aside or even pull my dad aside and be like, hey, she needs to move to Nashville if she's
Right.
serious. And it only took like a few hundred times for my dad to be like, yeah, okay, she needs to move to Nashville. So finally I did in 2016 after I graduated college, and I haven't looked back. It's been crazy.
It's crazy that you said that people like you went there like once a week or you go there every time. Cause I feel like the hardest part about what people when it comes to their career is like they're afraid to make that change. They're afraid for new surroundings because they scared. But you said like, nah, I'm going there every week. They started building relationships and that made me comfortable. I never thought about it like that. Why you feel
Yeah, it was definitely scary, but for me, the scarier thing was thinking like 50, 60 years down the road, looking back on my life and wishing I did it when I
right,
didn't. You know what I mean? Like that whole what if just scared the heck out of me. So I was
right,
like, I need to at least try. Like,
right.
if nothing happens, at least I can say I did it, you know?
Exactly. Why do you feel like the country music scene is so strong in Nashville and not other places? You feel me? Because why why wasn't it so strong in Rochester? Is basically my question.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville is really the hub for country music. I
Mhm.
don't know any other place that has such like a buzz around country music as this place, but I mean, there is a good country scene in Rochester and the rest of the country really. I feel like a lot of people really love country music, but in Nashville, it's where they all are. You know what I mean? It's where all the
Right.
artists are, the songwriters, the producers, the labels. They kind of just all came here, so like we're all here and they say in the industry all the time, and what they told me was like, you must be present to win if you really want to be in the industry. A lot of people, even when I was making trips here and I didn't live here, it was so hard because nobody really wants to work with someone that's not in Nashville. Like it's kind of proving yourself in a way. I hate to say it, but you kind of
Right.
have to prove that you're serious because it's such a tough industry. But I don't know. Nashville is just like the heart of country music. It's where I've met the most incredible songwriters, producers, other artists. It's just insane. It's like everyone you meet here, even your barista at Starbucks, is an incredible singer songwriter. So it's insane. It's like where we all go. You know what I mean? It's just kind of we're all drawn to it, I guess.
So do you feel like with you making that move at such a young age, did you start? I see that you did covers. Did that the doing the covers did it help you get into music more and help you be able to network more? Because I know you said you were shy, so you feel like that helped you?
Yeah, doing covers definitely helps like get you into the scene and get people to recognize you, but it only to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like you need to prove yourself with original stuff and you need to write your own stuff and you need to show what makes you different from everyone. So I think that was kind of a tough thing for me was just like finding out why I was different from everyone else that's here because there's like tens of thousands of beautiful girls here that want to make it and it's
Yeah.
it's like okay how am I going to stand out from these people, what do I offer that they don't, how am I going to be recognizable, all those kinds of things.
So with you saying that, what do you feel like makes you stand out from other like country artists and other artists? Period.
So for me, I think a big thing is the fact that I kind of do everything myself. I write the songs, I perform them, obviously, I produce them, I play most of the instruments, and I try to really, really put my personal stamp on everything so that like no one else can replicate it. Like I've worked with other producers and I work with other writers all the time, but I find that if I produce it or I at least have a big hand in producing it, it has a sound that is just me and it's like my own stamp on it, you know what I mean? And I think that has really helped me to stand out, just finding my sound
Mm.
and really being authentic to it. And like I said, just producing it myself because whenever I tell people, like, hey, I'm a girl and I produce my own stuff, that's pretty rare here. So I usually get some weird looks at first. But yeah, just and really just being authentic too, because I have found that if you're authentic, like there's no way you're not going to stand out at least a little bit. There's so many people trying to chase what's on the radio, chase what this new hot artist is doing, but it's not going to get you anywhere. But if you're authentic and you do what you do best, it's going to stand out.
You basically just stay in your own lane and wait for your turn, basically.
Yes, definitely.
So I know you started this movement called Girls on the Rise, right? That's empowering other girl artists. You just said it's weird that she producing and stuff like that. Talk about this Girl on the Rise movement is like is this country
Yeah.
music, is it pop music? What's going on with that?
So that started when I wrote a song called Because I Am a Girl. And I wrote the song a few years back now, and I kind of just wrote it like as a diary entry in a way. Like I never planned on releasing the song. It was just a very personal song that I just wrote to deal with some stuff I was going through. And I played it for some people, some friends, my team, and they all said, hey, you need to release this. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I don't know. And they convinced me. Eventually, I released it. And the person I worked with who co produced it with me, his name's Craig Wilson, he was like, hey, I have this great idea. I love this song. I want more people to hear it, and I think it has a great message, and I think we can, make something bigger out of it. What if we work with a charity? And I was like, wow, I love that idea. So we got together, we brainstormed some things we could do, and we came up with this idea of supporting a charity while supporting women in the music industry with just a night of music and raising awareness. And it turned into this incredible thing. We partnered with Girls on the Run of Middle Tennessee, and we wanted a name for the event that, kind of showed it was with Girls on the Run, but it was also a little different. So that's where we came up with Girls on the Rise. And this year was our third year, and it was incredible. We raised over $5,000 for the charity, and it's such a great night of just hearing women play their music and supporting these upcoming artists and raising money for Girls on the Run of Middle Tennessee. And it just blows my mind that it all happened because of this song that I wrote that I never planned on releasing it. Like, I wrote this when I was just like feeling upset about stuff, and I thought it was just gonna, stay on my computer, no one would ever hear it, and now it's like the biggest song of my career. So it kind of blows my mind a little bit.
That's crazy. How do you go about picking what song to release and what not to release? You just use an example like you was never gonna release that. Why was that? Like, why was that?
So when I wrote it, I just didn't think it was commercial, I guess you could say. I didn't think it would resonate with people. I didn't think it was like relatable enough, I guess, but I've been proved wrong. Usually when I like decide to release stuff, I try to release stuff that I think people are gonna relate to. I want people to hear themselves in my songs. I want it to be personal, but not too personal. Like, there's kind of a fine line I try to follow, and this one just didn't follow that at all. So I don't know, maybe I should change how I do things. But yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. We just talked about working with other artists and stuff like that. How you go about picking who you want on your song, the writer you want to be in the studio with them? Stuff like, how's that go? What's the process like?
So I'm usually pretty open on working with new people. I mean, here in Nashville, everyone is so incredibly talented, and I'm kind of at the point now that I kind of pick and choose who I work with a little bit. And what's important to me is that someone is easy to work with, like they're a good person. That comes before anything in my mind. You have to be a good person and just good to work with.
So do you want a
'Cause
personal relationship with somebody you work with, or you just don't want to do a business?
I mean, I am good friends with a lot of the people I work with. I feel like it's kind of hard not to be when you're writing songs with people because it's so personal.
Right.
But I also really like working with people that maybe excel in places I'm not as strong as. I mean, I always kind of view myself as really good at melodies. Usually when you're writing with other people, there's someone that's good at lyrics, someone that's good at melodies, and like everyone can kind of collaborate and bring something special to the table. So I like working with people that think a lot differently than I do, and that say things that I wouldn't say, and that come up with melodies that I wouldn't come up with, and just really get me outside of the box that I kind of put myself in sometimes. And yeah, like I said, I like working with people that are like-minded, that are really hardworking, that put the song first. I don't like writing with people that kind of follow trends too much, if that makes sense. Like, I want to write and work with someone that really wants to get creative, make something special, make something new, make something authentic, and just have a good time doing it.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire.
So, with that being said, who are like some big musical influences for you?
I have a lot of influences, to be honest. I kind of listen to everything. Like, I feel like if people went through my Spotify playlists, they'd be like, who is this person? Are they okay? Like, they listen to everything. I really, really love Taylor Swift. She's always been a huge inspiration for me. I love Kelsey Ballerini, Maren Morris, Carrie Underwood, The Chicks, Faith Hill, Shania Twain. They've always been huge inspirations. But I also love, like, Hilary Duff was huge for me growing up. I listened to all the, like, teen bop stuff and things like that. Avril Lavigne I loved growing up. So I had the Jonas Brothers, still a huge Jonas Brothers fan. Like, I listened to a little bit of everything, and I really just like to find inspiration from everything I hear. Like sometimes I'll hear something that is just so out of left field for me, and I'll be like, ooh, I want to try to do something in that vibe, you know what I mean? And I'm always discovering new music, so I feel like my sound is also always evolving. But yeah, I mean, I could hear a song on the radio, like I could hear half of a song on the radio and be like, ooh, I need to go do something right now,
That's fine. That's fine. So I know you met a lot of these people that you looked up to, like May and Tay, right? Or you opened up for them, right? Talk about
I met Taylor, yeah.
Talk about like seeing somebody you looked up to. Like, how did you go about it? Like, talk about that moment.
So when I've opened up for people that I look up to, it's so surreal for me because like we're working together, you know, like we're peers in the industry. It's just crazy to me. A big thing for me is always like what can I learn from these people?
Mhm.
So for example, I opened for Charlie Daniels
Okay.
and he was so kind to me, to his entire team, the whole crew, and just like watching him with everyone, I was like, okay, that's how it's done. Or recently I opened for Maddie and Tay and they were so kind to me. They asked to take a picture with me. We just kind of talked backstage for a little while and stuff like that always sticks with me because not only does it really give you like a boost of motivation that sometimes we need, it reminds me that if I ever get to that level someday that I have, you know, opening acts and I'm on a big tour, I'm going to make sure that I take a minute to talk to the opening act, make them feel welcome, make them know I support them and I'm happy they're here. Because I've also had instances where the artists kind of brush me off or have told their team that they don't even want to see me. They don't want to like see the opening act, period, or their gear or their band, and it's just kind of like, oh,
That
okay.
breaks
I've
your
been
heart.
told by artists that I can't hang out backstage in certain areas, and we can't eat with them, and like all this stuff. But yeah, for me, it's just seeing how they do things, seeing how they treat the crew and the team and the band, and how they interact with their fans and just what it's like seeing them work and do their thing is just it's so great and it's the best learning experience ever.
I know, like seeing like an artist you looked up to talk about they don't want to eat with you, they don't want to meet you, kind of breaks your heart. 'Cause, like, dang, I looked up to you, and now you feel some type of way. Like, dang, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's happened to me. It's so sad because like I'll love these artists and then you know they kind of show their true colors and I get really sad for a few
Right,
days. Like
right,
it really bums me out.
right. But you have some big moments too. Like, I know your song appeared on the Jimmy Kimmel show. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I did a cover of Silent Night a few years ago. I just put it on YouTube, like for fun, you know. And a few years later, I got an email from a producer from Jimmy Kimmel, and it was like, "Hey, we want to use your song on an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Show." And I was like, "Is this fake? Like, is this a scam?" So I like sent it to my lawyer. I was like, "Is this real? Like, am I getting scammed?" And she was like, "No, this is real. Like, this is a very standard contract. Congrats, that's awesome." And I was like, "What?" So the way it happened is I like signed the contract, I approved that they could use it, and we were like, hey, like let us know when it's gonna be up so we can help promote it and all that stuff. Didn't hear anything from them. I've come to find out that's pretty typical. Like you sign that you agree for them to use your song, and then you just never hear from them again. So I assumed that they weren't going to use my song, and then a few months later, I got another email that was like, "Hey, Alyssa, we need your address so we can pay you for having your song on the Jimmy Kimmel Show." And I was like,
Right.
wait, it was on there? So like I googled the episode and I found it and lo and behold, it was on the Jimmy Kimmel Show and I was like, "Man, I wish I was like aware
So
that
you
that
can tell
happened." And
everybody,
then
like,
I know I would have like filmed it and it would have been awesome. And I actually got some messages when I posted about it. They were like, "Oh, I thought that was you, but I figured not because you didn't post about it." And I was like, "Nope, it was me." So that was like an older version of my Silent Night cover. And then
right.
I did a Christmas EP recently and I was like, well, I got to do a new version of that now since it was on Jimmy Kimmel, you know? So yeah, that was a crazy thing. I still like can't believe that happened. They just found it on YouTube. Like they just looked up a cover of Silent Night and I came up and they were like, "Yep, like it." And boom.
How do you go about promoting your music? Because we know you do covers, you know we do individual songs, you move to Nashville. How do you go about building your buzz?
That's probably the toughest thing of the entire industry is promoting yourself when you don't have like, you know, millions of dollars or a huge record label behind you. For me, I really like to engage with my fans as much as I can. I like to, you know, reply to their comments and their messages, and I try to be on every platform I can, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. And I really like showing like the behind the scenes stuff that I do. So producing tracks or in my studio or days that I'm wearing no makeup and sweatpants and slippers, you know, I really like to be real on social media. And
Just break you a little bit
especially
more.
yeah, and especially when I'm playing shows, it's so important to me to engage with my fans in person. Like every time I have a show, I do a meet and greet at my merch table after my set, no matter how big or small the venue is, because I want to meet people. If they came out to see me, I want to thank them. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's a huge thing. And also, just going back to the authentic thing, I just try to be as real as I can. I don't want to be like, I don't want someone to look at my stuff and be like, oh, like she's so perfect. Like she never like shows her real side. Like I want to show people like, look, I'm wearing no makeup and glasses and my hair is in a messy bun, or like, look, I'm cleaning up my cat's throw up on the carpet. Like, you know, this is my
Right.
life. Or like, oh look, my flight is 4 hours delayed. Yay. Like I want to show the real side, you know? And I feel like that makes people relate to you more, at least in my experience. So yeah.
It's true. Have you had any crazy fan moments yet?
I've had some crazy fan moments, good and bad.
Give us some of them. Like, give us some insight real quick.
Okay, so I've had people like come up to me after shows and they'll be crying because they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, like that song for me is maybe someone passed away," or like I had someone one time, they came up to me after a show and they were like crying because I had just sang "I Hope You Dance" by Leanne Womack and they were bawling their eyes out.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, like I just lost my mom last week and that was our song and I've just been looking for a sign that she's okay and that was my sign." And I was like,
Damn.
wow. That was like, wow. I have had just so many incredible sweet messages from people saying my music got them through breakups or tough times or things like that. I've just been so lucky with the incredible fans that I have. I have had fans just like become really good friends of mine online just with how much they support me. Over the course of the pandemic, my fans literally paid my bills, which was just insane.
That,
So yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
So, like, speaking of the pandemic, how has COVID affected you as an artist?
A lot. So the biggest thing for me is that COVID kind of gave me the push to totally produce my own stuff. Before the pandemic, like end of 2019, very early 2020, I was planning on putting out an album. And I was in the middle of, you know, writing the songs, booking recording studio time in Nashville, getting all the players together for the band, and I was going to do it like, you know, the old-fashioned way, I guess you could say. Just go into the studio in person, do it like that. And then the world shut down, and I was like, okay, I promised my fans a record. How am I going to make this record? And I always kind of had a little voice in the back of my head that was like, you went to school for it. Like, you produce music for other people. Why don't you produce your own stuff? And I always thought it'd be really cool, but I was, I guess, not confident in myself enough yet. And then I remember I was sitting right here in my studio in this exact spot, and I was like, well, it's now or never to produce my own stuff if I want to put out this record in like, because who knew how long it was going to last, right? It was
right.
2 weeks, and then it was 8 weeks, and then it's 2 years. So I was like, okay, we need to put out a record, so we have to do it ourselves. So I asked my team, I was like, hey, what would you think if I produced this record myself? Because we were all like, well, I guess the album's on the back burner, but I was not okay with that. So they were like, we love that idea, like do it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try with one song. And if that goes well, then that's green light go for the whole album. So I did that, and it was a song of mine called My Favorite Song, and we loved how it came out, and it was a great process. And I was like, okay, like I did it with one song, let's just do 12 more.
Right.
And so the whole pandemic, really, I was just here in my studio producing the record, and it was very, very hard. There were several moments that I was like, I don't think I can do this, and I almost gave up, but I did it and released the album. And honestly, the pandemic just kind of forced me to grow in that sense. You know, I had no other choice. If I wanted to release stuff and I wanted to keep going, I had to grow and get to that level, you know? So it kind of forced me to take that leap.
That's fire. The one thing I like about you is like you don't use no excuses. Like, all right, either I'm going to do it or not, and then you always try. And look where you at now. So,
Yeah. I don't like excuses. And I'm definitely someone that, like, if something isn't happening or someone's not doing something for me that I think they should be, like, I'm just gonna do it myself. Like, I'm definitely like a one woman show in that respect. Like, I'm kind of a workaholic, and everyone that works with me knows that, like, I like to do everything myself just because, like I said earlier, I like putting my own stamp on things, but like I want it done a certain way, and my music is like my baby. So I want it to be right, you know? And yeah, the pandemic really accentuated that.
I know we've been talking a lot about music, and we're gonna take a little bit away from music and talk about your personal life. So I know you make your own boots. Talk about that.
So I don't make my own boots, but I have worked with boots companies in the
Okay.
past. I worked with Alvy's Boots, which was so fun.
Mhm.
They are based out of Texas, and they just make incredible, comfortable boots, and it's awesome. I would love to make my own boots someday. That would be
Right.
awesome if there's any boot people that want me to do that.
Aside from music, what else you got going on in your life? Tell people a little bit about yourself. 'Cause I know you talked about a lot about music and you're playing the instruments you have in the studio and stuff like that. Tell your fans they
Let's
might
talk
not know
about
about
the cats.
it.
I do love my cats. I'm definitely a crazy cat lady. Um, Honestly, music is like 99% of what I do, but since it's the new year now, I've really been focusing on like how I can better myself this year. So I'm really trying to be healthier this year. I'm trying to like cook more. I'm trying to work out more because I kind of stopped doing that in the pandemic. And I mean, I really love writing poetry, reading books. I love just any way that I can create something. I love. I've done some of my own like making my own clothes. I like going to a thrift store or Goodwill or something, and I'll bring back the clothes and I'll kind of alter them myself, which is really fun. I made my own sparkly boots over the summer. I like took an old pair of boots and I glued like 10,000 or more rhinestones on them, which was fun. Yeah, just any way that I can create something, I love doing. I'm a very creative person, and if I'm not creating something, I just feel very like
Not productive.
incomplete. I guess like I need to create something.
Right. No, that's fire. That's fire. You got any more questions for her?
Um, I could just ask if you had any advice for like other artists, like any type of artist just trying to get into music. What advice would you give them?
Honestly, I would go back to the authentic thing. My best advice is just be authentic. Don't chase trends. Don't be something you're not. Don't like if somebody tells you, "Hey, you need to be more this." Do not listen to them. Sprint the other way. Just be you. Be unapologetic, authentic, and just do what you do best. And also keep going no matter what. A big thing for me is there's no such thing as no. It's just not yet. So every time I get a no in the industry, which is a lot, you're going to get a lot of those, I just see it as, okay, I'm not ready for whatever this opportunity is. So not yet. I just got to keep going, keep working, keep growing, and my time will come. So be authentic and don't give up.
I feel that's how a lot of people should look at things. Not yet, but no, like you should keep working hard. You feel me? Don't let nobody ever close the door on you. But I just want to thank you for doing this interview with us. Give us your social media.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for wanting to interview me. The best place to go would be my website, which is alyssatrahan.com. But I'm all over social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, pretty much everything. So I love talking with people online. My music is on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Google, pretty much everywhere. And yeah, I'm all over. Hopefully you find me. If you see country music and cats, then you're in the right place.
I appreciate you again.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.